Hi everyone, it's Dr. Ramani and welcome back to this YouTube channel on narcissism, narcissistic abuse, and all kinds of information and lessons and things relevant to difficult relationships, difficult situations, and toxic people. It's my hope that the content on this channel will help you cope, heal, and simply understand these relationships. Now we're doing scattering of various kinds of series here, and this series is going to take on the issue of the types of things that narcissistic enablers say. Narcissistic enablers are typically gaslighters by tribe. They're collective gaslighters. They're the ones who say the things that leave you doubting yourself even more. And they try to put lipstick on a pig and try to downplay the harms of a narcissistic person's behavior. In so doing, narcissistic enablers are just one of many in an army of people in the world at large that allow this kind of behavior to continue, to reward it at a societal level. And I guess at some level, the enablers just want to be able to stay in their world full of denial and then ignore what's happening to others. So today we're going to take on this thing that narcissistic enablers say. They love saying this. Ready? Oh, come on now. They don't mean it. They don't mean any harm. So you may hear one or both versions of it. Either they'll say, they don't really mean it when they say that, or they don't mean any harm with what they do. First of all, when someone says that to you about a narcissistic person's behavior, it's so tempting to ask the enabler, how the hell do you know this? How do you know that they don't mean any harm? They harmed me, so what was it? They harmed me, so it was harmful behavior. These kinds of statements can make a family system or a friendship or a relationship feel like you're in a court of law or a police investigation or a deposition into which you need to be able to establish motive or intent. The fact is, I was hurt, and now I have to prove that they intended to hurt me? The tricky bit with this statement, that, oh, they don't really mean it. They don't mean to hurt you. They don't mean that. Is that narcissists are always repeat offenders. Listen, all of us screw up once. All of us say something that could hurt someone else. And then we get corrected and we attempt to never do it again. And we really commit ourselves to never doing it again. Narcissistic people just keep doing and saying the same bad things, even with feedback. We give them feedback on their behavior. We know that doesn't work, and they don't change. So for a person, narcissistic person typically, who doesn't intend to hurt someone else, they got to know they're hurting. Everyone's telling them that, but yet they keep hurting. When you keep repeating something and people are telling you what you're doing, that sure as hell feels like intent to me. Now, I understand intent as a legal standard, but this isn't a court of law. It's your damned life. So when a person says hurtful things pretty regularly, that's not okay. It's not. In fact, if you try to pin the narcissist down on intent, or the enabler tries to pin them down on intent, more often than not, you will be called out for being too sensitive, for having your feelings hurt. Oh, golly, you are very sensitive. Who cares? He didn't mean it. Both statements, those enabling statements, they don't mean it, or they don't mean any harm. They mean that the narcissist, because of the enablers, are able to keep doing and saying bad things, because the presumption then becomes, well, their words aren't intended to harm, so they aren't harming. That's like saying a drunk driver didn't intend to hit you with their car, so they're off the hook. We know that accountability with a narcissist is a pipe dream and something that you're never going to get. But what is potentially possible then is other people not letting them off the hook so easily. Maybe other people can stop enabling them. Other people stepping in and saying, actually, that was not okay. What you just said could hurt someone else. Now, those of you who grew up with a narcissistic parent may have gotten this statement, oh, they didn't mean it. They didn't mean to hurt. That wasn't meant to hurt you. That you may have gotten this nonsense left and right from the other parent or other people in the family system. Oh, come on now. Your father doesn't mean any harm. He doesn't mean it when he says those things. Oh, come on now. Your sister doesn't mean it. She doesn't mean to hurt you. You were harmed. And by making the focus on the intention of the other person, the one who says the hurtful thing, never are the feelings of the harmed person acknowledged. And that feels very invalidating. And that narcissist keeps just getting enabled where people are saying, well, they don't really mean that. In a relationship, friends or people close to you may say, "Oh, come on now, your partner didn't mean it. They didn't mean any harm." I sometimes wonder, is it because these enablers get uncomfortable because they think, "Oh, goodness, are you telling me life isn't always sunshine? Life can be icky and people might hurt people." Yeah, this isn't third grade. Relationships aren't always moonbeams and rainbows. Or maybe these enablers would actually have to look at their own lives and really take a hard look at what's going on around them. But in the middle of all of this, the narcissist keeps getting enabled. In the workplace, coworkers or management or administration saying, "Oh, come on now, your boss or your supervisor or your coworker, they didn't mean any harm." That can actually really set you up badly for getting any kind of meaningful solution from HR or other situations, since the prevailing workplace culture is that. Everyone thinking the person who's actually quite abusive always, "He didn't really mean it. You just need to know how to take what they say." Again, it pathologizes the person who is affected, who apparently doesn't know how to take it. And what that ultimately means is that that person, who's the brunt of these words, is less likely to get support. It's in this way narcissistic enablers are just they just further invalidate survivors of these situations and contribute to the larger environment of abuse that of around the person who's experiencing this. The person's already being abused. It's just one more way to abuse them. So the big question is, do they mean it? Do the narcissist mean it to hurt you? The bigger question is, does it really matter? And frankly, that's not for a third person to be weighing in on. The enablers, I really do think that they want to feel better about their own lives. That should not be happening on your time. I really do think that the enablers run heavily on hope. Oh, they don't mean it. They don't want to hurt you. Like, no, people are actually really good. Now, obviously, I have a far, far more skewed, cynical view than anybody out there that people don't mean good. But when you get this, when somebody harms you, hurts you, or somebody's telling you, "No, no, ignore what they said, they didn't mean it," unless you've got some kind of decoder ring to let you know when people do and don't mean things, which we don't, I gotta assume when someone says something to me, they mean it. And so this idea of narcissistic enablers, living in this sort of world of wishful thinking, where people couldn't be that mean. Again, this ain't summer camp, and this isn't the playground in a preschool. These are people who have no problem invalidating and hurting other people. And when they're enabled by other people through these throwaway statements like, "They didn't mean it," it makes it hurt even more, and it fuels our sense of doubt and confusion. So that's one example of the kind of thing a narcissistic enabler says. More of these are coming, and if you have any ideas, please drop them in the comments. Thanks again.